Hi, and welcome to Family on Purpose. We're your host, Derek and Gina. Today, we're going to talk about a fun example that happened, really Gina thought of when we were on a ski trip a couple weeks ago. We were at the top of the mountain and we were ready to go down. And I can't remember if it was the end of the day or ready to get lunch. We were something, right? And we needed to get to the bottom. And as most resorts and mountains have, it says, easy way down, arrow. And so we took the easy way down the mountain to get to the bottom. And Gina had this idea or concept, and it was, hey, we don't want to take the easy way down. Mm-hmm. We want to do what's right and what's best, not what's easy. And we want that for you and your family. And so how you live to be a family on purpose is to make sure you don't take the easy way down. Thanks for that thought, babe.
Yeah, I'm excited. Well, and I think if you take those words literal, like easy way down, taking the easy way usually leads downward. You know, it's usually not an elevated life or thriving relationships when we look to take the easy way.
Okay, so what do you mean? When we're saying take the easy way down, what does that mean for families or for individuals? What does that look like? What is the easy way down?
I think the easy way in relationships, especially when it comes to family, is avoiding discomfort.
Okay.
Right? Trying to just keep what's comfortable, trying not to rock the boat, trying to preserve ourselves and avoiding those harder things that could lead to good, and just taking the easy way out, avoiding confrontation, avoiding conflict, of whatever it is, just always choosing the easy way.
Sure. We're avoiding growth. I agree. You know, as I was thinking and preparing for this one, it was, hey, our flesh wants to take or is drawn towards what's comfortable and convenient. And I think the world tells us that the ultimate goal is comfort and convenience.
Right.
If we think about everything that's designed, the systems, the processes, ordering groceries. Now, I think Walmart will even come and bring it into your house. Yeah. And I don't know if they put it in your cabinets.
I definitely take the easy way down.
Well, they don't come in our house.
But I do get it to the doorstep.
Delivery, right?
Right.
Like, oh, okay, yeah, that is easier. That's easier. So is that bad?
I think if it's at the demise of a relationship.
Okay.
Yes. So for me, you take groceries, for example. Like, to me, that is a way to increase margin, right? I'm not pushing a cart through the grocery store and now that's taken an hour or drive time, there and back. To me, it's an investment on time. If I can do this, it frees me up to do something else.
Okay. So what would be something that, like, what's an example of convenience or comfort at the sacrifice of relationship?
Okay. I'll give you an example. Obviously, I'm a certified holistic nutritionist.
I am aware. I do know this.
And I have conversations with people, and I had a conversation with one particular set of parents, and they were having some behavior issues with their child. And so just asking questions, okay, do you notice a difference if they eat these foods? If it's candy or food dyes or caffeinated things, do you notice a difference in their behavior? And yes, the behavior was just off the walls worse with those things. And I said, okay, well, eliminate those foods. And they were absolutely unwilling to do this because they didn't want to engage in an argument with the child over why the house is not stocked with this food. Yeah. And so to me, that's an easy way out, right? But in their mind, to avoid a fight. But if it leads to
that's right,
the environment of the home after this person eats these foods is worse, it's really not the easy way.
That's right. And I want to talk about that later, about how the easy way might seem like the easy way for now,
right?
But it's not the easy way in the long run. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about food. That reminds me of growing up. My parents actually took the opposite of that. So I was a little rambunctious when I would eat corn syrup. My mom told me and all my friends and teachers and stuff that I was allergic to corn syrup. I think that was her best way of conveying it to me in my young brain that, hey, you don't act your best when you're on this. It reacts differently with your body. And so for years, I didn't eat corn syrup, which meant we had to find different bread. There were only specific sodas. When kids in 4th grade would bring cupcakes, this was back when they could bring cupcakes to the classroom. Now I don't think they're able to, but my friends would always say, "Hey, Derek's allergic to corn syrup. Derek, what can you eat? We'll bring something special for you," because cookies and candy and like all of it. And then we had to get special, I said bread, but peanut butter and jelly and all, like we were very, very conscious about it. And it wasn't easy, but to your point, it was what's best for the time.
Right.
And what made life better
right.
was being conscious about those things.
Yep. That's good. That's good. And that's not easy, you know, like.
No, it was not easy. It was terrible as a kid. I can tell you that
right.
much.
I agree. And half of our family has food sensitivities. Right. And so we know the way it is, the way it feels when you show up somewhere and you're like, and I cannot eat anything here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It was, okay, great.
Yeah. It is uncomfortable, but, kudos to just not taking the easy way out so that your behavior was not influenced by an outside force.
Right. Yep. And I think to your point of taking the easy way down, the world wants to make us think that comfort and convenience is the ultimate goal.
Right.
And not just groceries and not just food, but like, hey, plan or design your life so that you are never uncomfortable. John Eldridge, he has a book, Getting Your Life Back. We listened to that one time as we were driving down to Florida. And he said, for the average person, they spend 97% of their time inside, where it is a perfectly planned 71 degrees and we're comfortable and convenient. 3% of our life outside. I'm not okay with that.
Right. Me neither. I would feel claustrophobic.
I've got a buddy. He always tells me, he says, "Hey, this whole living inside thing is still a science experiment and we don't know the result because we are the first species and really in the last several hundred years, the first to live out this experiment of being an inside people." So I'm not okay about that. In John's book, he talks about, I think it was a summer or a fall where his air conditioner broke on his car. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do remember.
And so for a summer or a season or a couple seasons, like his only option was to roll down the windows and drive. And he said it was uncomfortable, but I think there's a lot of growth and development that happens when we are uncomfortable.
Right.
It goes back to that Jewish rabbi. We listened to a podcast of his, and there was a Yiddish statement that said, "When you must, you can."
Right.
John didn't have air conditioner as an option, so he could live without it. And I think it goes for us too. When we are uncomfortable, we do grow because we must.
Yep.
And therefore we can grow and develop new skills, new abilities, new perspectives, new paradigms, all that goes around with being uncomfortable instead of staying where we want to, which is comfort and convenience.
Yep. You're right. I agree. It is easy to idolize comfort.
Right.
I know that I don't like.
It's a great way to put it.
To be uncomfortable. I mean, even like temperature wise, like, okay, if it's too cold, I don't feel like going outside. Or if it's too hot in the summer, like I know my hours are, I got to beat the heat if I'm going to go out.
That's one thing I did have to learn is early in marriage, it would be cold outside. You would walk outside and you'd say, "I am cold." And to me, there's a difference. No. It is cold. You haven't been outside long enough to be cold, but evidently you had.
Yeah. I'm very sensitive to the heat.
You feel it quickly.
Yeah, that's right. I'm thinking of a passage and I put it down in the notes, James 1:2-4, which says, "Consider it all joy, my brothers and sisters, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance, and let endurance have its perfect result so that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing." And I'll tell you now, taking the easy way out, it doesn't develop this type of character. It doesn't develop that endurance that produces that is perfect and complete. And I'll tell you, just personally, I don't really consider all trials joy.
Sure.
I am not that spiritually mature that when I'm in a trial, it's like, oh, this is horrible and I want it to end. I mean, obviously I want God to accomplish the work in it, but it's usually not until I'm on the other side of it that I'm like, okay, yes, that, I see joy in it, but in the midst of it, I do not consider it all joy.
Yeah, I don't either. I can see it. Yeah, I think that's why they say hindsight is 20/20, right? Oh, okay. I heard a pastor say a long time ago, hey, life is understood looking backwards, but has to be lived going forwards.
Yeah. That's good.
And I agree, because in a trial, it's not fun. It's not enjoyable. It's not a grind.
Yeah.
Or it is a grind. It's not fun. But that is where abilities, I mean, what does that say? So that you may be perfect and complete, not lacking anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's the goal. That's what most of us desire. And that's what we desire for our families, is not our families not to lack anything.
Right.
And for our family to be together on purpose. Hey, I want relationships to be strong. And I can see where in families, we might, if there is a trial, a relationship challenge, a struggle, it'd be easy to gloss over that because that feels easier.
Yeah. Right. I think there's a big just avoidance and self-resignation when it comes to trouble in family relationships. We're going to avoid it and just think it's going to go away, or just have this resignation about it.
Why do you think we do that?
I think it's to avoid discomfort.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that we tend to run towards what is comfortable in life and then run away from what is uncomfortable. And I want to pose a question of, what if running to what was uncomfortable and trudging through that led to comfort, led to a thriving and flourishing relationship? Would you face the discomfort head on at that point if I knew, hey, on the other side of this, there's going to be a healthy relationship?
Well, that's the bison mentality. You've heard it. In a gigantic thunderstorm, we live in the Midwest. So you got the Midwest, you've got Kansas is in the Midwest. I think it's Midwest. I don't know, but it's wide open, huge thunderstorms rolling through, and cattle will run away from the storm to the edge of their property and try to get away from it. But the storm still comes, and they actually live in it longer because they run away from it and then it's over them. And they're moving with the storm. Whereas bison, and I heard this from a guy who raises bison and has actually seen it happen.
Yeah.
Bison will turn and run into the storm so that they're moving left and it's moving right. And so they are in the storm less because they're moving towards what they're afraid of and the discomfort.
I love that visual of not running away from a storm because it keeps you there longer. Instead running towards it and getting through that storm.
Right.
I like that. And I think I encourage anyone listening, like, think about those storms in your life and what are you running away from that could potentially keep you in that storm longer.
Oh, I can think of it in a family. Some friends of ours, they're having trouble with relationship with their son. And there is a little bit of avoidance. Instead of facing it, dealing with it, diving into it, having alignment and approaching it, that I think can move through. You can't control it, but you can face it and everybody grow in and through and work on it.
I want to share a story with you. So you haven't heard this. Derek was just out of town with our son at a sporting event. And I saw this video clip. I don't know if it's real or whatever, but, this man is getting interviewed by this pastor, and he said, for whatever reason, his son and the mom, so the man who's getting interviewed, his wife, the mom and the son got into this huge fight, and it was as though, okay, their relationship is severed. They don't want to have anything to do with each other. And that dad said that when this fight broke out and, it looks like the relationship is severed, he got into his truck and drove 8 hours straight to his son's home, unannounced, goes up to that door, pound, 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 pound. Son opens up the door, Dad, what are you doing here? And he's like, this is not okay. You and your mom not getting along is not okay. I'm not going to stand for this. This isn't how we're going to do life. And so it was just so impactful. Like that man, he didn't take the easy way out. The easy way out would be like, oh, okay. No, he got in the car, drove 8 hours straight. It didn't matter the distance. What mattered was the relationship.
That's right.
And he or the pastor, I don't know who it was, but goes on to say, like, isn't this the way that God pursues us? Like, I'm going to track you down. No matter how many times we disobey God or turn our backs on him, he shows up on that door. This isn't okay. And so I was inspired by that story, thinking, okay, is there anyone that we need to get into a car and drive 80 hours for and say, this isn't all right?
Yeah.
I thought it was a beautiful picture of a father's love.
Oh, I think it is.
For a son and his bride, that he's not okay with that for his wife and their family.
Yeah. I'll go to whatever it takes to fix this.
Yep.
And that's not the easy way. It's not the easy way. It's funny. Jack and I were driving back from that tournament and we were listening to music. We're blessed. Jack and I like the same type of music. So I just put it on mix and all the stuff happens. And I heard Tom Petty, I Won't Back Down. Thinking of you.
Yeah.
So that's the very first song, the very first time I ever met you, I ever met Gina, was at a leadership retreat for college. And we all had to choose a song that represented us. And I have no idea what song I chose. But I remember what song you chose because it was Tom Petty, I Won't Back Down. And if you're familiar with the song, great song. And the chorus has a line that says, there ain't no easy way out.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this podcast and thinking about how true that is. There ain't no easy way out. And there ain't no easy way down.
Right.
What you touched on it. What is easy in the temporary is often harder in the long run.
Right.
And I think that's what that dad represented. Hey, what's easy would have been to avoid the conversation.
Yeah.
What would have been easy is just, hey, I will sit here and they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But that's not easy in the long run.
Right.
That's harder.
Right. And that Tom Petty song is still my song.
Oh, yeah, it is. No doubt about it. No doubt about
you
it.
Can stand me. Yeah.
But shortcuts are temporary. Growth is forever.
Yep.
And if we put ourselves in uncomfortable situations, harder situations, I think about what would be comfortable. You talked about it. Comfortable can be avoiding a serious conversation. Comfortable can be never trying.
Yeah.
Comfortable or easy can be not applying yourself.
Right.
Comfortable or easy can be not making a change because you don't want to make a change. It takes work.
Yep.
Who are we talking to? I don't know. So we were talking, it was on a previous episode that we talked about, hey, when we are faced with a challenge, we can do one of two things and they're both difficult, right? They're two difficult decisions. One, you can either move into and through the challenge or two, you can avoid it. But at the same time, that internally just eats you alive. It eats me alive. If I choose to not deal with something, then it just, like it tears you up. It reminds me of, I've told this story a bunch of times. Dave Ramsey, 2008, doing mortgages, listening to Dave Ramsey radio show, Financial Peace. And Dave says, if you don't deal with it, eventually you have to deal with it.
Yeah. And you actually wrote that on a sticky note and stuck it to your computer monitor.
Put it on a monitor. It lived there for years and years and years. Because if we don't deal with it, eventually we have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Easy can lead to excuses. Easy can lead to, I don't know, brokenness.
Right.
Easy can lead to distance in relationships. Easy can lead to isolation.
Yep. And I agree with all of those consequences. And I think that's exactly what the enemy wants us to do.
Well, yeah.
Take the easy way out. Why would he want us to take anything other than that? because the easy way out has consequences, whether or not it's just, you're missing out on God's best for your life, or you're missing out on opportunities, and even so much more, like loss of relationship, broken marriages,
Yeah.
loss of trust in relationships. Like, I think that the enemy will show us the things that are comfortable, the things that are convenient for us, and, pervert whatever it is that we think we're going to make headway in. Like, well, if you do this, you might as well not waste your time,
Right.
or this person's not going to receive that well. Like, I think that we have to resist the enemy and those thoughts of comfort and taking that easy way down, because there's consequences.
Okay, so something you said flipped in my brain. We've been talking easy as in, I don't know, resigned,
Yeah.
not action.
Mm-hmm.
What if the easiest way is to control? Because that's what you're used to.
Yeah.
Not you, but like,
Yeah.
what if a person, the easiest way is to not change?
Right.
Do it my way.
Right.
Always have it my way. I think about a parent who has a child that's going through a difficult time, and the parent, actually the easiest thing for them to do is to lock it down.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, put all these rules and regulations, and I'm going to make sure they do this or don't do that. But sometimes the more difficult way is actually to step back and take your hands off and let them go.
Yeah. I agree. And I think there's been a picture within the last, handful of years, maybe I've seen it online or just heard it in passing conversations. And like, what is that we are just gripping to and clenching our fist around, and like, okay, does the Lord have to pry our fingers open to say, okay, this is yours, I give it to you? And it can be the most vulnerable feeling to feel out of control.
And that's
like,
not easy.
What if this happens? What if this happens? And it is not easy at all. It's hard. And I fall into that. I can relate to that. There's certain things that I think, okay, if I can manage it like this, we'll avoid, suffering in these ways. And it's just,
which is comfort.
Right.
Avoiding suffering is desired comfort.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's about self-preservation and maybe all of it's wrapped up into pride.
Could be.
I don't know.
I mean, that's what comfort is. Comfort is a false pride because we choose ourselves over anything else.
Right.
No. I deserve this. Mm-hmm. I want that. Mm-hmm. I'm entitled to this. I deserve a break. I deserve watching Netflix. I deserve nachos at 10:30. I deserve whatever it is to be in charge. I deserve to be in control.
I like how your brain flipped that, because I hadn't seen this topic as like relinquishing control over the things that you're trying to control, because it's really easy to justify control.
Yeah.
I found myself doing that, like, okay, with the pandemic and trying to avoid illness and stuff. And easily it can make sense in your brain to avoid certain, oh, wait, the place is too crowded, I'm not going to do that, and then it ends up robbing so many things down the road.
Sure. It's still not easy, right? It's temporary.
Right.
It's temporary, but it's not growth. Mm-hmm. It's not development. It's not maturity. It's not what God wants us to.
Right.
He doesn't, I believe, and this is my theology, I haven't seen it in God's word or scripture. Mm-hmm. I believe God doesn't want us to take the easy way down.
I agree. Okay. So you bring up scripture.
Okay.
And I've been teaching Bible for 13 years. And so that's just where I go, like in daily life and anything. In preparing for these podcasts, I'm like, what about the Bible? What about, what here? And it is a faith filled podcast, the mission of it. And so I was making a list of like, well, who are people in the Bible that did not take the easy way?
Okay. People of diligence, people of perseverance, and just seeing that model and how that can be an inspiration to us. And it doesn't mean that like, hey, if I act as though Esther acted, I'm going to save a whole, nation. Spoiler alert. One of them is Esther. Right. It doesn't mean that, but it means like
hey, there is fruit on the other side of
Sure.
perseverance. And whether or not it's just in my own character, it doesn't have to be as significant as, saving a nation. But the list that I made, and I'll go slow. And so if something points out to you, just say the word.
Going slow so I can understand?
No,
Okay.
Not a bit. Saying so that you can interject your thoughts because you're so wise. Well, ultimately, okay, we know Jesus, right?
Sure.
He never took the easy way out.
Nope.
And before he got to the cross, he wasn't taking the easy way out. He was confronting sin in relationships.
Yep.
And so I think sometimes in our families, like we don't want to confront sin.
Yep.
Because we'd rather be liked.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'd rather be liked than ultimately, well, if you're trying to be liked and you're avoiding a confrontation.
That's the easy way.
Right. But at what expense? That your child is not right with God.
Yep.
That your relationship is not right. So, okay, Jesus, just in his earthly life with the relationships. And
do you need to go farther than Jesus or?
No, I mean, he's the ultimate.
Okay, done.
He definitely didn't take the easy way down on the cross for us, and endured that for us. I thought about Joseph.
Okay. I love Joseph. We're talking about Jesus' dad.
Well, no, but I was thinking of the other
I'm
Joseph.
kidding. I was the other Joseph.
There's probably like hundreds of Josephs.
I love the story of Joseph because you're right. He never took the easy way.
Mm-hmm.
He could have given up when he was sold into slavery.
Yeah.
He could have given up when he was thrown into prison.
Right.
But he didn't. I like it.
Right. Okay. Esther, we touched on her.
Yep.
At the expense of her life could be taken.
Yep.
She did not withhold.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel.
Okay.
Shadrach. You want to say something about
No, tell me Daniel.
Well, I mean, he didn't take the easy way down. The easy way down, he could have bowed at, or not prayed and gotten caught praying. But it would have been easier to avoid a lion's den by doing that. But he didn't take the easy way out.
Yep.
He said, I'm not going to compromise.
Yep. That's a good word. Not compromising.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because compromising can be potentially, sometimes it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Not compromise your morals, but have a compromise with somebody about something.
Yeah.
But compromise seems like it would be taking the easy way out.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you're compromising your convictions.
Yeah. You know what compromise has stayed with me for, I don't know how long, probably 30 years, is the Columbine shooting outside of Denver, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I remember hearing that those shooters would ask kids in the school, are you a Christian? Are you a believer in Christ? And the kids that said yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have always wondered, hey, if I was there, would I admit that I'm a believer of Christ?
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to think I would.
Yeah.
Because compromising that would have been the easy and safe way out.
Mm-hmm.
But whoever said yes, they didn't compromise and they didn't take the easy way.
Right.
And I would hope that would be the same for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's good.
Okay, keep going. Who else you got on that list?
Okay, I just have a few more. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yep.
They had faith to the end, even if God does not come through. I know He's capable. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we persevere with our families and we don't take the easy way, maybe even if that reconciliation does not come,
mm-hmm.
I know that God can,
mm-hmm.
and I will do whatever it is in my part to give to that reconciliation. Mm-hmm. Okay. The bleeding woman.
Okay.
Who suffered for that for 12 years. Like the easy way out would have been not trying to fight through a crowd
mm-hmm.
to reach out for Jesus. And yet, and I think there was more implications, the female reaching out to the male and whatever. And so, it would have been easy for her to not fight through that crowd. And yet she did. Do you want to add anything to that?
Keep going.
The disciples who kept preaching Christ, no matter the persecution, no matter the perils, no matter the arrests.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously in Paul, like we look at his life and he didn't take the easy way out.
Nope.
He didn't take the easy way out.
No, he did not. How many times was he beat, shipwrecked, sentenced to death, put in prison?
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on.
Yeah. Countless.
He could
countless
have
times.
taken the easy way out.
Yeah.
He could have.
So I feel like the Bible is filled with models that show the fruit of perseverance.
Oh, I think so too.
And I think if you look at those, like even Paul, like, okay, count it all joy. I believe that he saw joy in those trials. For the fact that he's worshiping and singing from prison, I don't know more joy than worshiping the Lord through a trial like that.
Well, Hebrews says, Jesus with the joy set before him endured the cross.
Yep.
And that's a trial.
Yep.
Like,
right.
Come on, that's a challenge. Well, I think you're right, babe. I think diligence and perseverance are where we want and need to live. Proverbs 13:11 says, easy come, easy go, but diligence is forever. And that might be the Message version because it's pretty simple. It doesn't sound New King James, but
add a thou in there and then you go.
That's right. But I think for us as parents, and I think for anybody in a family listening, it is important for us to understand that there is what feels like an easy way down.
I feel like there's a scripture on this, like for a time it feels like what is right, but then in the end,
if you know it, put a comment, send it, put a comment below or let us know what it is, because I can't think of it.
Does it sound familiar to you?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, yeah.
But I just want to encourage people that in Isaiah 57, it says, because the sovereign Lord is with me, I will set my face like flint. I'm going to do whatever it takes, not in my own strength, but because the Lord is with me, I'm relying on his strength. So whatever challenges are in your home, whether it relationships or situations or circumstances, the Lord is with you. And you can set your face like flint and move forward in and through this. Romans 8:31 says, because the Lord is with us, who should I be afraid of?
Right.
Okay? Who should I fear? Who could be against me? And I think most importantly, I think on Galatians 6:7 of do not be deceived.
I have that in my notes as well.
Okay.
I was going to say that.
Do not be deceived. God will not be mocked.
Yep.
You reap what you sow.
Right. I think so many times we think of reaping as like, the harvest that comes in and it's good and plentiful and whatever is, whatever we've sown. We don't look at the converse of like, hey, if we are sowing without diligence, like there's not going to be that harvest.
That's
like,
right.
If we're serving or sowing with compromise or if we don't have that perseverance, like be expectant of what harvest will come, because the harvest is coming. It's just going to be one of, are you pleased with it or displeased with it?
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And with every harvest, I have buddies who grew up in Kansas and they said harvest time, that was the hardest working part of the year. It wasn't easy. Harvest was not sit at home and people start delivering little piles of cash to your home, right? What harvest was going out and doing the work and working extra long hours to bring in the goods, to bring in the crops. And so we as families have to remember there is no arrival.
Right.
There is no cruise control. There is no easy way down, regardless of what the signs on the mountain say. Hey, every day, let's grow and develop. And we can, not in our own strength, but because the Lord is with us and he will lead us and guide us and provide for us, that we can rely on his strength to do the hard work, to consider it joy in all trials.
Yep. I agree with you. I feel like we're so in sync. Like every time you're saying something, I was just going to say that word. I was just going to say that passage or whatever. I think you bring up so many good points, babe. And there is a harvest coming. And so let's sow with everything that we have, seeds that are eternal. I think we've unpacked a lot today about taking the easy way down. And we don't know everyone's story.
Right.
And so there are things that can be terribly uncomfortable in your life. There can be hurts that we have no idea the magnitude of the hurt or the betrayal that you have endured. And so I do encourage you, like, whatever work needs to be done for healing, do it. If it is Christian counseling, if it is getting godly counsel, whatever those things are, resist the enemy wanting you to take the easy way down, whatever that is. Fight for a relationship in your family, and not just a surviving relationship, but a thriving relationship. And it takes work, and it takes so many fruits of the Spirit. One of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. Like, hey, do we have self-control to be able to persevere and do these things? And so, Derek and I just want to encourage you all, don't take the easy way down, because the easy way does exactly that. It leads down. And so we want you to have purposeful relationships in your family. And we believe that God will bring that about as you work with him to bring about health in relationships.
Very true. Very true. We don't know your situation. And so just know the Lord is with you, and he wants what's best for you. So work with him on it, whatever that looks like. We're Derek and Gina England. We are so glad you're here. We never want you to take the easy way down, because growth, development, and sustainability is on the other side of that. So lean into it. Lean into it. I believe you can. I know Gina does too. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Family on Purpose.